It's time for a major overhaul. Stay tuned. So today I'm going to be installing this, a Marmot Militia barrel onto my Marauder pistol. First, gotta prep it so scope's coming off. Alright, phase one complete. Now to take the suppressor and barrel shroud off. Turns a lot easier like that. And make sure that you keep track of O-rings. There are a few in here. I have extras if I lose one. If you don't have extras, make sure you keep track of where they are. Okay, go slow. There we go. And the reason I have extra O-rings is because I've lost O-rings. Set this to the side safely. The gun looks a lot smaller now, a lot less intimidating than it did. We'll fix that. This is the top view of the gun. There's a Allen head bolt here, 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 and here. They have to come out and they'll release the entire breech from the gun. What that means is this piece here is going to lift off of the tube completely. Then there's these two bolts right here. They secure the barrel into the breech. First, I'm going to take these two off that secure the barrel into the breech. Then I'm going to take these off. And the only reason I'm doing these first is because they'll be easier to take off when the whole thing's still attached. All right, one more thing that I didn't show you when I had the camera on top of the gun. Right here is a little set screw. And what that does is that secures the shroud mounting fixture, I'll call it, to the barrel. And the only reason I'm taking that out now is, like I say, it'll be easier to just back it out a few turns now. While the gun's still in an upright position, I can use both hands without holding it. That's why I'm just gonna back this off a few turns, back these off a few turns. I'm only gonna back these off a few turns, and then I'm gonna take these four completely out. These are our set screws, so they don't need to come 100% out. Before you go taking the breech off the top of the gun, there is a little transfer port with some O-rings on it in there. Make sure to take it off carefully and not to lose those. Those are going to come out when you take them off. They can come out, so just make sure you have a little container that you can put them safely away where they aren't gonna fall down or get dirty or anything like that. And just so you know, I've never taken the gun apart. I haven't even opened the box up to read the instructions from the Marmot Militia barrel. I probably should have done that, but I'm filming now, so I don't have time. Yep. And they are different sizes. I'm not sure what size they are. If you have a set of Allen wrenches, you'll be fine. This one out just a few turns just to break it free. And I'm just gonna back it out a bit. That wiggles free. I'm not gonna take this all the way out, but a good bit of the way. Same with this one. I did degas the gun as well. That's the one thing I didn't show you in the beginning. It is down to 0. These are the 4 breech screws that I'm removing right now. Okay, let me show you what I've done. I've turned this out a few turns. I've turned this one and this one out also just a few turns. And I've completely removed these where they're free to come out and up and down. Now, if you're like me and you haven't opened up your barrel yet, before you go removing the top piece, now might be a good time to open up the barrel and see if there are any important instructions in here. Very nice. And this right here is the new barrel. It's quite a bit thicker than the old barrel. It's got more of a shiny surface where it's been polished. Nice rifling inside. Oh, the important thing, The Marmot Militia website and the guy that creates the barrels recommends FP10 to clean these. When you buy a barrel, you can go ahead and place an order for a bottle of FP10 at the time of purchase. The last I knew, he wasn't selling these individually just because it wasn't really worth the cost of shipping them. I actually bought 2 bottles on eBay. That's where I got mine. So you're going to want to clean your barrel first, and subsequently maybe every 50 or 100 shots you're going to want to clean your barrel then as well. Let me show you what I got to clean it. And that's what I got to clean my barrel right there. It's called Patchworm Field Kit. And I ordered it for pretty much every caliber gun I own and the special 177 pack. I'm gonna clean the barrel right before I put it in, that way my hands are gonna stay fresh when I'm touching everything else. Moment of truth. I brought out some paper towels so I can just pretty much pick it up, set it right down on there. You take all 4 of these screws out. I'll put them like this so I know where they go. Time to get the breech off. You're gonna pick it up, slide it out through the barrel band. Okay. And you see that little blue thing right there? That is the little breech port I was telling you about. Make sure you don't lose. I'm actually just going to set it down here, pick the breech port up. So that's what the breech looks like right there. And that black end goes down. So if you're reassembling it, the black end goes into the hole first. All right, I'm gonna tip the camera down so you might not see my head. I'm sure you're okay with that. I'm just gonna clean this here. And I have more silicone grease that I can put right back on here. Before you put your new barrel into the receiver, you're gonna wanna go ahead and clean it, and you're doing that using the FP10 cleaning solution. Poke it through to the bottom, the drop of FP10. I have 3 drops. That should be more than enough there. Slide it into the end of the barrel. Oh, I'm gonna double up on my patches. Like I say, I'm doing this when it's not on the gun, so I don't have to worry about it getting held up in the suppressor end or anything like that. It just seemed like it'd be a little easier this way. All right, barrel's all clean, let's get it in. Here's the breech with our original barrel. We've loosened these 2 bottom screws, so it should just slide out ever so easily now. I'm gonna slide this off this way. Something just went flying. This goes in here. Okay, I'm glad I caught that. There is a clear O-ring. It goes into the base of your shroud mounting assembly. That's what I'm calling this little piece. Be careful when you take it off. I heard a little noise and I saw it hit the paper towels I have over here, which caught it thankfully. Next thing you're gonna want is to take this off. I think the easiest way is maybe just gonna grab it, twist and pull. And it was. All right, we got that off. Here is the old barrel, and I'll show you a side-by-side comparison with the new barrel. Here's everything we've taken off so far. We've taken off the muzzle brake and the barrel shroud support. We've taken off the original barrel. Here's the Marmot Militia barrel, and you can see the size difference in the 2 barrels as well, and the color difference. We've taken off the 4 breech screws right here, the breech, the transfer port, and the rear shroud mounting assembly. We've also cleaned our barrel, and now we're ready to put it back together. So with our Marmot Militia barrel, we're gonna slide our rear shroud support back on it. I'm not gonna tighten it down right now. I'm gonna wait till it's all in to tighten it down. I am going to put a little silicone grease on it. Just get that all around there. Clean any debris off of it. So I don't have a spare one of these. I'm gonna slide it back down on the barrel. And that grease should help it slide. I know you can't see the O-ring because it's pretty much clear. Just working it down. There we go. Work it up over the ridge right there. I'm just gonna put a little silicone grease bead around the base here, and then when I slide the O-ring down, it'll collect all that grease and make a nice little seal for it. Not too much, just a little tiny bit. And I push that down. And that sits in there. Just using my fingernail to sit it in there. Some of you guys out there might be going, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that. That's the wrong thing to do. Well, if you don't tell me in the comments, I'll never know. So there we go. I think it'll be fine. And like I say, I haven't tightened this up yet because I'm gonna get it in and then adjust and make sure everything's properly fitted before I do that. Okay, right now I'm just gonna take this, clean the underside of my breech. You can see all that disgusting blackness. Before I put it back together, I'll put a little silicone grease back on there. I think what's next, the easiest thing will probably be to put this on. Okay, and it should only slide down to about that point there. And I think that's slid down to its max point there. Wasn't scientific, but it worked. All right, we got that installed. Someone I know is out there just cringing watching me put this thing together. On the top side of your barrel, you had 3 cuts in it, and that's where your set screws are gonna go in and lock it up. You know, 1 for this part here and 2 for the top, the 2 that go through the breech. On the bottom, you have your transfer port groove, and that gets lined up with this little hole right here in your breech. So when you put it in, you should see the 2 are kind of lined up right there. You can see it right there, how they kind of line up. So when they're lined up, go ahead and put your transfer port back in. I don't know if this should have a little silicone grease put back on it. It is a little rubbery, so I am just gonna put a little tiny bit on. Not too much, because I'm not sure if it needs it or not, but just the littlest bit can't hurt. So I've got the 2 lined up there. It's lined perfectly up. And I'm just gonna move the barrel ever so slightly, and it just slid right down in, so I know it's perfectly in there. And now the barrel really isn't wiggling back and forth right to left. What I'm gonna do now is, with my finger holding that in, just gonna flip it over, and I'll turn these down. And I'm just gonna snug them. I'm just making sure this works here, my breech works. Everything's just a bit snugger with this barrel in, I'm noticing right now. So before it would just kind of slide in on its own. Now it needs just a little bit of pressure to get in, and I'm sure with time and a little grease that'll go down. I think at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and put it back on the gun. Take a little of my silicone grease, just because this was a surface that had grease before. And I just kind of, you can see I just put a thin coat on it. Turn that back down. Okay, I see here. If you look at your bolt, you can see how you can pull that back and forth, that little knob. You're gonna wanna put that in front of that pin right there, so when that slides back, this gets cocked all the way to the rear. And I bet you if I go like this, I'll make it way easier. So basically what I just did is I used the empty end of my screwdriver just to cock it. So with that cocked all the way to the rear, this should go on pretty much easy. You won't have to line anything up, and it should be all set to go. Kind of try and see, yeah, everything's lined up, perfect. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to put the pins back in the same exact holes I take them out of. That might be like a super weird thing to do, may not be. So I'm just gonna test it here. At this point where it's still not completely put together, this is a good time to test it. Cocks, nice and easy. Oh, safety. It works. I'm always excited when I do something and it works. I don't know if that says something about me or not. Time to get this lined up. The rear barrel shroud mounting thing. I really don't know what it's called. What I'm gonna do here is actually take this one completely out so I can eye it up. Pull it all the way to the back, put it on top, back in. And that one I really did tighten down a good amount. Same thing with these barrel ones. That's tightened in a good amount. That's tightened in a good amount. All right, the only thing to do now is put the shroud back on. But first, I forgot about this. You've been touching this barrel and all these parts with your hands. It'd be a good idea to just spray this down with some sort of gun oil. I use Hornaday's One Shot. I saw a test where a guy tested like 50 different types of oil, and this was the second best. The very best cost probably 5 to 10 times as much as this. Just spray it on, healthy dose, and let it flash over. Just gently rub it. And to be honest with you, I probably don't even need to rub it off. I should probably just leave a nice coat on there so I don't have to worry about that, which is what I think I'll do. Just make sure the O-ring's still in the right place on this end. And it is, and it fell on the floor. And that is why I have extra O-rings, because I lost my original that way. Case in point, why you should have some extra O-rings. And it is storming outside right now. So whenever I go into the woods, I always carry, this is a Glock hearing protection case, but what I've done is I've gone and I keep the original end cap to the gun and a bunch of spare O-rings, as well as 6 screws to attach your handle. Those are the parts that I most often fiddle around with and I'm most likely to lose. Case in point. Wow. When reinstalling your barrel shroud, the part of the shroud that doesn't have threads all the way to the base, that's the part that goes towards the breech end. The part that's threaded all the way to the end, that's the muzzle end. I just found that out the hard way. And I was so confident too that I had it going on right. Storming out. Now that I have my new O-ring, put that in. Put my suppressor back on. And there you have it. It is done. Marmot Militia barrel installed successfully. All right, guys.
Turn it on.